From ancient techniques like smoking and pickling to modern innovations like vacuum sealing and pasteurization, mastering the act of saving food with different methods today is more important than ever. With rising food costs, supply chain disruptions, and natural disasters happening more often, learning to store food properly isn't just smart, it's necessary. Today, we're talking about something incredibly valuable: food preservation. Did you know that food preservation techniques have been around for thousands of years? Let's travel through time, explore the fascinating history, why it matters today, and the best methods to keep your food fresh and safe. Preserving food at home has remained a hot topic, especially in recent years. Back in 2020, interest soared so high that store shelves were emptied of canning supplies like jar lids and canners. With more people turning to home food preservation, it's worth taking a moment to explore where it all began. Food starts to spoil the moment it's harvested. To survive, our ancestors had to find ways to make their food last through the harsh seasons. In colder regions, they froze meat on ice, while in warmer climates, they dried foods under the sun. These simple but effective preservation methods helped early humans settle in one place, build communities, and save food for the future rather than consuming it all right away. Today, home food preservation is just as popular, but so are the risks, especially when improper methods are used. Botulism is still a serious concern if safety guidelines aren't followed. That's why now is the ideal time to dive into safe, research-based methods for preserving food right from your own kitchen. Whether you're just getting started, already experienced, or somewhere in between, this video will share valuable tips and trusted information to help you confidently and safely preserve food for you and your loved ones. Long before refrigerators, humans had to figure out how to keep food from spoiling. Here is a look at the ancient civilizations developed ingenious methods. Drying and dehydration. Ancient Egyptians dried fish and poultry under the hot sun. Salting. The Chinese and Romans preserved meats and fish with salt thousands of years ago. Fermentation. Cultures worldwide fermented vegetables and dairy to extend their shelf life. Think of ancient sauerkraut, kimchi, and yogurt. Cooling and ice storage. Before electricity, wealthy societies like the Persians and Greeks used underground ice pits and cellars to keep food cool during the summer months. Smoking. Indigenous peoples around the world, from Native Americans to Africans, preserved meat and fish by slowly smoking them over fires. In Africa, smokehouses were built with minimal ventilation to maximize smoke retention for preserving goat, beef, and game meat. Nordic peoples perfected smoked fish techniques to survive icy winters when fishing wasn't possible. Pickling. Ancient Mesopotamians pickled cucumbers over 4,000 years ago. Every ancient civilization, from Africa to Asia to Europe, developed ways to store food, and many of these methods are still in use today. These techniques weren't just survival skills, they helped civilizations grow, explore, and trade across continents. Fast forward to today, and while our methods have evolved with technology, the goal remains the same: protect food from spoilage and waste. So why should you care about food preservation today? Economic uncertainty, inflation and global disruptions are making groceries more expensive. Preserving food stretches your budget. Emergency preparedness. Whether it's storms, floods, or even job loss, having stored food offers peace of mind. Sustainability. Reducing food waste helps combat climate change and conserves resources. Health. Preserved homemade food often contains fewer chemicals and preservatives than store-bought versions. In 2025, mastering these skills means being more self-sufficient, resilient, and ready for whatever life throws at us. First is one of the oldest methods in human history: dehydrating. By removing moisture, you stop bacteria, yeast, and mold from growing. Drying food makes it lightweight, space-saving, and very long-lasting, perfect for camping, prepping, or healthy snacking. Foods can be dried in the sun or oven. How to dehydrate food safely and for best result. Use an electric food dehydrator. Consistent airflow and temperature are key. You can also dehydrate in a standard oven set as low as possible, usually around 170 degrees Fahrenheit, 77 degrees Celsius. Slice foods thinly and evenly for faster, even drying. Store dehydrated foods in vacuum-sealed bags or airtight jars, ideally with oxygen absorbers. Best foods to dehydrate include fruits like apples, bananas, berries, vegetables like tomatoes, mushrooms, carrots, herbs like basil, mint, oregano, meat for homemade jerky. Dehydrated food can last from 6 months to over a year depending on storage conditions. Second, smoking. Smoking isn't just for flavor, it's a powerful preservation tool with ancient roots. Thousands of years ago, when refrigeration didn't exist, early civilizations discovered that slowly exposing meat and fish to smoke not only added flavor but dramatically extended shelf life. The smoke contains natural compounds like formaldehyde and phenols that inhibit bacterial growth. At the same time, the slow drying effect of the smoke reduces the moisture that bacteria need to survive. There are two main types of smoking. Cold smoking. This involves smoking food at temperatures below 90 degrees Fahrenheit, 32 degrees Celsius. It doesn't cook the food but infuses it with smoky flavor while slowly drying it out. Ideal for delicate items like salmon, ham, or bacon. Hot smoking. This process uses higher temperatures, usually between 165 degrees Fahrenheit and 185 degrees Fahrenheit, 74 to 85 degrees Celsius, which cooks the food while smoking it. Hot smoking is perfect for briskets, ribs, turkey, or chicken. Even today, smoked foods are considered gourmet delicacies, a reminder of this age-old preservation wisdom. Next is pickling. Pickling has been a global solution to food spoilage for thousands of years, and it's one of the easiest methods you can try at home. In ancient Mesopotamia around 2400 BC, people were already pickling cucumbers brought from India. Indian cultures developed spiced pickles from mangoes and limes, using turmeric, oil, and salt. Middle Eastern traders pickled lemons to preserve them for long journeys across the desert. In Europe, pickling became essential during the medieval era when winter storage options were limited. Pickling works by soaking foods in a salty brine or acidic vinegar solution. Harmful bacteria are unable to thrive. The acid or salt forces bacteria into dormancy or death, preserving the food. Common pickled foods. Crisp cucumbers turned into pickles, crunchy carrots, sweet or spicy peppers, cabbage fermented into zesty sauerkraut. Today, pickling isn't just practical, it brings out bold flavors and incredible textures that elevate even simple meals. Fermentation is one of the oldest, healthiest, and most fascinating preservation techniques. Rather than killing bacteria, fermentation uses the power of good bacteria, or probiotics, to transform food. Fermentation was critical in every culture, from beer brewing in ancient Sumeria to cheesemaking in medieval Europe. In many ways, fermentation wasn't just about preservation. It was about improving nutrition and flavor, creating some of the world's most beloved foods. Beneficial bacteria consume the natural sugars in food and produce acids, alcohol, or gases that prevent harmful bacteria from growing. This natural acidification or alcoholization makes the food safe for longer storage. Examples of fermented foods include kimchi, Korea spicy, fermented cabbage packed with flavor and probiotics. Sauerkraut, Germany fermented cabbage that helped sailors prevent scurvy on long voyages. Yogurt, Middle East fermented milk rich in gut-boosting bacteria. Tempeh, Indonesia fermented soybeans, a high-protein staple still loved worldwide. Let's dive into the art of canning. Canning started gaining popularity after the French government, under Napoleon, offered a prize for anyone who could develop a method to preserve food for armies on long campaigns. In 1809, Nicholas Appert invented a way to heat and seal food in glass jars, the beginning of modern canning. There are two main canning methods. Water bath canning, for high-acid foods like fruits, pickles, and jams. Pressure canning, for low-acid foods like vegetables, meats, and soups. To successfully can foods, always use clean, sterilized jars and lids. Follow tested recipes to ensure safety. Botulism is rare but serious. Check that jars are properly sealed before storing. A good seal means the lid doesn't pop when pressed. Home canned goods can last 1 to 5 years if stored properly. Imagine opening a jar of homemade tomatoes in the middle of winter. It's magic. Let's visit northern Afghanistan to discover a brilliant preservation technique called Kangina. Kangina is an ancient Afghan technique used to preserve fresh fruits, primarily grapes, in airtight discs made from mud and straw. The method involves sealing fruits in clay pots, which are then buried underground in a cool, dry place. This helps preserve the fruit for up to a year by creating a natural airtight seal and allowing for a natural fermentation process. This technique is inexpensive, eco-friendly, and preserves fruits for more than 6 months without chemical use. Grapes or other fruits are carefully selected and washed. Clay pots are shaped into a bowl and baked in the sun. The clay pots are filled with fruits and sealed with a mixture of mud and straw, creating an airtight seal. The sealed pots are buried underground in a cool, dry location, where they are left to mature over time. After that, the fruits undergo a natural fermentation process, which helps to preserve them. Kangina isn't just a technique, it's part of Afghanistan's rich agricultural heritage, showcasing a simple, natural solution to year-round food security. Next up is one of the oldest, most natural methods of preservation: burial. Yes, burying food underground can dramatically extend its shelf life. The cool temperature, lack of light and oxygen, and even the chemical makeup of the soil, like high salt or dryness, all help prevent spoilage. Vegetables like carrots, potatoes, and turnips are often stored this way, especially in dry sand or cold ground, where they can last for months with minimal care. In the northern U.S., cabbage was traditionally buried in autumn. Some methods preserved its crispness, while others let it ferment naturally into sauerkraut, the same way kimchi is made in Korea. Burial also works for meat under the right conditions. Hot coals and ashes can sanitize and dry the meat while the earth seals out air and contaminants. In frozen climates, the ground can even act like a natural freezer. In Odisha, India, farmers preserve rice underground during the dry season for up to 6 months. And get this, even butter and eggs have been buried for centuries. The Irish stored bog butter in peat bogs, while Chinese cuisine gave us the famous century egg, created by burying eggs in alkaline mud, transforming them into fermented delicacies. Burial may sound primitive, but it's practical, sustainable, and still used around the world today. Next, freezing. This is the simplest, most effective preservation method available. How to freeze properly. Use sealed bags or heavy-duty freezer containers. Always note when foods are frozen. Organize by first in, first out. Blanch vegetables briefly in boiling water, then plunge them into ice water. This locks in color, texture, and nutrients. Lay items like berries or sliced veggies flat on a baking sheet before bagging them. This prevents clumping and makes it easy to grab just what you need. Foods that freeze beautifully include raw meat and seafood, baked goods like bread and muffins, cooked grains and beans, cheese, grated for best results. For optimal food preservation, keep your freezer at 0 degrees Fahrenheit -18 degrees Celsius or lower. Sterilization and pasteurization are scientific approaches to food preservation developed during the industrial era but easily applicable at home. Sterilization involves subjecting food, liquids, or tools to extremely high temperatures, often above 250 degrees Fahrenheit, 121 degrees Celsius, usually under pressure, to kill all microorganisms, including the toughest spores. Industrial canned goods are sterilized to last for years without refrigeration. At home, we sterilize canning jars and lids by boiling or baking them to ensure no bacteria, yeast, or mold survives. Without proper sterilization, home canned foods can risk serious contamination like botulism. Always sterilize your equipment carefully before preserving food at home. Early sterilization efforts laid the groundwork for the global canned food industry, feeding armies, explorers, and eventually, households around the world. Pasteurization revolutionized food safety without sacrificing freshness. In the 1860s, French scientist Louis Pasteur discovered that heating liquids to a precise temperature, just high enough to kill pathogens but low enough to avoid spoiling the flavor, made them safer for consumption. Typically, liquids are heated between 140 degrees Fahrenheit to 160 degrees Fahrenheit, 60 degrees Celsius to 71 degrees Celsius, for a set time, then rapidly cooled. Common pasteurized products. Milk, to prevent tuberculosis and listeria. Juices, especially apple and orange juice. Beer and wine, to stabilize and prevent spoilage. Pasteurization slightly reduces some nutritional values but reduces risk of foodborne illness and dramatically improves safety. Today, nearly all dairy products and many beverages worldwide undergo pasteurization to ensure safety without sacrificing quality. And finally, vacuum sealing, a modern miracle for food preservation. This method removes the oxygen from around your food, slowing down spoilage and freezer burn dramatically. To vacuum properly. Invest in a good quality vacuum sealer, worth it long term. Use specially designed vacuum seal bags that are durable and resistant to punctures. Pre-freeze soft or moist foods like berries or soups before sealing to avoid crushing or pulling liquids into the machine. Label your bags clearly, date and contents. Examples of foods that can be vacuum sealed include bulk meats bought on sale, fresh vegetables, blanched first, dried foods like rice, beans, pasta, cheese blocks and hard cheeses. Vacuum sealed foods can last 2 to 5 times longer than foods stored with normal methods. Before we wrap up, let's go over some essential tips. Keep a food inventory, know what you have and when you preserved it. Rotate your stock, first in, first out. Monitor your storage conditions, cool, dark, and dry places are ideal for stored food. Stay organized. Group similar items together to avoid losing track. Food preservation isn't just about survival, it's tradition and empowering. You gain independence, save money, and take control of your health and future. If you enjoyed this journey through ancient and modern food preservation, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share with someone who would love this too. Drop your favorite preservation method in the comments below. I can't wait to hear your stories. Stay safe, stay prepared, and I'll see you in the next video.